What's going on YouTube? It's Tej back again with another video. Today I'm breaking down my winners and losers of the Carson Wentz trade. It's been a couple days since the trade went through. You'll see this on Saturday, I believe. But nonetheless, want to take a couple days to digest, really get my thoughts together about who won and who lost this trade. If you didn't see the Matt Stafford, Jared Goff trade I broke down, I'll break it down pretty quickly. I had 3 winners and 3 losers out of these trades. If you missed the Stafford Goff video, I definitely encourage you to go back and watch that. Thought it was pretty cool. Figured I'd do it again here for the Carson Wentz trade. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump into it. But first, if you like this video, hit the like button. And if you're new, please subscribe and get more football content like this. And comment down below who you thought won and lost this trade. So winner number 1, we'll start with the obvious, Carson Wentz. Look, he wanted out of Philadelphia. The situation got pretty toxic, and now he's out. He ultimately got what he wanted, and now he reunites with Frank Reich, who gave him his best year of his career. He's going to a team with better weapons and has plenty of cap space to improve upon the offensive skill position groups around him. He has a better offensive line in front of him, and obviously a great coaching staff, as I said, and you're playing for a competitor, a team that right now might be the front runner to win the AFC South, them or the Titans, more than likely. So for Carson Wentz, the excuses are now gone, and if Frank Reich can turn Wentz into what he was in 2016, 2017, don't have Wentz hold on to the football for too long of a period, and cut down on just the silly throws that he makes. I mean, like the clip that has been running through my head nonstop was the pick 6 from Taki when the Eagles played the Browns. It was just a dumb throw. Like, why would you make that? And Wentz was near the top, if not the top QB in the league when it comes to interceptable passes. Not necessarily passes that were intercepted, but passes that could have and should have been intercepted. So he's got to cut down on mistakes. He's got to get rid of the football. Don't take unnecessary sacks. But he's in a situation now where he can get back to that MVP level, which there's a lot of QBs in the NFL who have never reached an MVP level, and Wentz has been there before. So we know he can do it. He's just got to get back there. Now we'll get to loser number 1. I originally had the Philadelphia Eagles, but I changed that, and it's just Howie Roseman. Look, he is a guy who has struggled with drafts. I mean, he took J.J. Arcega-Whiteside over DK Metcalf, took Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson. The one thing he could hold his hat on and be proud of was taking Carson Wentz. And for a year or two after Wentz was drafted, it looked like a slam dunk. He was a QB of the future, franchise option for that team after being taken number 2 overall. But with that said, after, last year, he goes from being number 2 overall pick in the draft to somebody who's worth a 3rd rounder this year and a conditional 2nd rounder the year after, which could become a 1st rounder if Wentz plays 75% of the Colts snaps, which I think is likely, but still. He went from a 1st overall pick to, at the best, a 3rd rounder this year and a late 1st next year. That's obviously degraded value, and it doesn't help the case for Howie Roseman to try to keep his job in Philadelphia. And honestly, I think more than likely within the next 2 years or so, he's probably gone. On to winner number 2, it's Jalen Hurts. This is another obvious one. There's a lot of winners this trade. Ultimately, I think it worked out for both sides and for a lot of the players involved, and it was harder to find losers, and there were an abundance of winners. But in the case of Jalen Hurts, kind of a weird analogy, but stick with me. It's a common TV or movie trope where someone has multiple relationships going on and someone tells him, okay, or her, that they need to decide one or another. And ultimately, in this situation, it's very applicable, and Jalen Hurts was the winner for the Philadelphia Eagles. They had a choice between the two. Wentz wanted out, but, Wentz isn't making the trade himself. Ultimately, Philadelphia thought Jalen Hurts was the QB to go with for their future. And, I've heard rumblings of them taking a QB at 6. I don't think that's likely. Hurts wasn't over the moon great. He had one huge game against Arizona, but that Arizona defense, especially by that point in the year, was not very good. So it makes sense that he had a big game. Ultimately, I think Hurts has the skill set to be a maybe top 10 QB in the league. I don't know if I'd go any further than that. Maybe top 8. But he was pretty raw coming out of Oklahoma, which is crazy because, and this is the encouraging part for Jalen Hurts. You look at where he was when he was first starting at Alabama versus where he finished his college career, and he was a way better quarterback. He was already a good athlete, and he got way better as a quarterback. And honestly, you can say from his time at Oklahoma to where he was at the end of last year, he was significantly improved. And now he'll hopefully, depending on COVID and how the offseason plays out, he'll have a full offseason to improve upon his game. And I'm hoping the Eagles, if you didn't see yesterday's video, definitely check it out. Hoping they bring in somebody like Tyrod Taylor, a veteran QB who can help show Jalen Hurts the ropes around the NFL and how to get better and what areas he can improve his game. And if that's the case, I think Hurts is a franchise QB. Maybe not elite. I don't know if he'll ever be Aaron Rodgers. Probably won't, but there's only one Aaron Rodgers and there's only one Pat Mahomes. You know, those types of players are very seldom to come by. I think Hurts can be a really good QB for this team moving forward, and ultimately the Eagles chose him between the two options they had, so he is winner number 2. On to loser number 2. Sorry, Chicago, but the Bears are a loser in the situation. I wanted to see Wentz in Indy just because of his relationship with Frank Reich, but Colts were not going to be overly aggressive, and their offer and what they got Wentz for was not that. I mean, ultimately, a third and more than likely a future first for a franchise caliber QB, your future QB, future option at that position, that is a bargain. I mean, a lot of teams this year are having to spend a top 8 pick to get the 4 franchise caliber QBs and, top 15 if you want to throw Mac Jones in there. But back to the Bears, they felt like the more desperate team between themselves and the Colts, and I thought they would give up more than the Colts. I guess that wasn't the case. And ultimately now the search continues for Chicago. Do they go make the trade for Marcus Mariota? Do they sign Ryan Fitzpatrick and hope that he plays as well as he has over the past couple of years? But even then, that's not that high of a level. Do you hope that Mac Jones is available at 20? I don't think he gets past the Pats at 15 and at the very latest Washington at 19. I don't think Jones is available anymore at pick number 20. So Chicago's weird QB situation continues. I don't think they bring back Mitch Trubisky. That would feel like such a failed offseason if you ultimately just run it back with Trubisky. So I can't see them doing that. But you missed out on Carson Wentz, who was one of the better options. Now you're looking at guys like Darnold, who's damaged goods, Marcus Mariota, who had one big game last year but got benched a year and a half ago in favor of Ryan Tannehill. Or do you hope that a rookie QB is available once we get to pick 20? I don't know, and that's why they're loser number 2. And on to winner number 3, kind of a twofer here, kind of cheating the system, but the Colts and the Eagles. Like I said earlier, I think this trade works out for both sides. Look, the Colts get a bargain value for Wentz if he is their franchise QB, and for the Eagles, you get rid of a guy who didn't want to be there, and you get a mid-rounder this year, and either a second, potentially a first-rounder next year. And the Eagles have so many holes that they need as much draft capital as possible. Like, this is a team that needs a number 1 wide receiver. They have Jalen Reagor, but they could also use a third wide receiver in that mix if Rager's good and if they find a number 1, wide receiver in this upcoming draft. They need help along the offensive line. Jason Kelsey's getting old. Lane Johnson can't seem to stay on the field. They need help at linebacker. Maybe they go Micah Parsons at 6. Maybe they go Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. They need desperate help at cornerback, like really bad. They could use help at safety. They have a lot of money tied up to their front 4 with players like Fletcher Cox, but all their options on their front 4 are pretty old. So those are positions you need to address and try to get younger at. I mean, like literally almost any position on this team outside of running back with Miles Sanders, I'd say is a need. Shoot, I've seen mock drafts with them taking Kyle Pitts at 6 because they like 2 tight end offenses, and him and Goddard would be gnarly. But with that said, you get a couple of picks. It helps the Eagles try to fill out the abundance of holes across their roster. Colts get a bargain value on Wentz, and if Wentz doesn't work out, then it's a team that's ready to win now, losing on a third and a second, maybe a first next year, and that is worth the risk for Indianapolis. And I think Wentz will be good, and I think that Wright can turn him around. I don't know if I'm going to go as far as Dan Orlovsky saying this puts Wentz in the MVP race, unless we're talking dark horse, we're talking crazy odds. You put down like $10, you come away with like 50 grand, or something super small like that. But nonetheless, I think it works out for both sides. So they are both winners. And I'll also give an honorable mention while I'm giving out wins to Doug Peterson. Because if this completely backfires and Wentz continues to be very bad, then he is just elated from the situation. None of the problems in Philadelphia were on him. And if he sits this year out and Wentz is really bad, he could easily become the top option for teams looking for a new head coach next offseason. That's potential and it has a lot of different variables to it. But honorable mention to Doug Peterson. Our third and final loser. Again, it was tough to find losers, and I'm bending the rules here a little bit. But the AFC South. Look, I think the Colts did get better, and as I've said, I think Wentz will work out, and that inherently makes the Colts a better team. I think Wentz makes that team better than where they were with Phillip Rivers, just because Rivers' arm was so weak. Though I will say Rivers is really good at the line of scrimmage, and that's something that Wentz and Doug Peterson were not on the same page on in his tenure with Philadelphia. But I think the Colts got better, so in turn, it hurts the Titans, the Jags, and the Texans, who played them twice. And also, I don't know, I could see this either way. Let me know in the comments below what you think. I feel like since Wentz's value was depreciated, maybe it hurts the Texans' trade expectations for Watson. They're still saying they don't want to trade him, but if Wentz is only worth a third and a conditional second, Watson's obviously a lot better, but since Wentz's value was lower than what Philadelphia wanted, does that hurt Watson's value, at least in the eyes of the Texans and teams around the league? I don't know. That one's kind of a hit or miss, but nonetheless, I think the AFC South are going to be the third losers of this Carson Wentz trade as he lands in Indianapolis. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Hit the like button if you did. Subscribe if you're new for more football content like this. Comment down below what you thought. Who won? What players? What teams? All the like. I'd love to have your thoughts on this trade. But until next time, my name's Tej, and I'm signing off.
Part of the last generation that remembers time of God.